Okay, this is like my other video response. Okay, so I'm trying to remember. Okay, so the video game that was played was really interesting. I'm not really into video games like that. So seeing how, everyone interacted and how the video game was put together and also kind of thinking about the morality of robots was really interesting. Um, just kind of talking like how people in the class were talking about how like, oh, well, the robot thing wouldn't really like, I guess they were trying to say like the way that they make robots now is kind of, I guess, a fail because it looks like us but not enough, and it looks kind of creepy, and they don't feel like it would get to that point where it looks like us, and they think it's going to stay more abstract. I don't know how I feel about that because I just feel like a lot of times people didn't think technology would advance the way that they did, and they did. So I feel like it's definitely possible to make a robot look and act like us. It's just probably going to take time and be like way in the future. I definitely would rather have like an abstract robot opposed to a robot that looks exactly like us because, like the video game had like all these issues, all these moral issues. And then it's like, why would you treat something that looks like you badly? It's kind of like, like this whole slavery thing happening again because, oh, someone's different. But at the same time, when they were protesting and chanting like, oh, we're human, it's like, but they're not human though. But in a way, it's like we identify with them because they look human. My random cat right there. Yeah. Okay, I know I might be diving too deep into the robot thing, but I was thinking about all those things when people were playing the game. Uh, what else? Like the game was really interesting, and it was more like watching a movie, and it was very well. I thought it was well written, and the narrative and the graphics were really good. I never played video games, and I feel like I would have took too long to figure that stuff out. I'm not into it like that. But yeah, I thought the video game was really cool. The second class is also interesting because so far it's like the internet being underground and stuff. I didn't know that. Apparently everyone else knew that. Like I was talking to my friends about it, and they're like, yeah, you didn't know that? And I was like, no, I didn't know that. So because I thought like the phones, it was satellites. I didn't know about all that stuff underneath, and I thought it was crazy. And when they were talking about, I guess, like the pollution of like, I kind of forgot, to be honest. It was something like when she was talking about I guess, I don't know if it's carbon, something that happens when you send X amount of emails or have X amount of emails, and uh it's like this pollution or something that happens, and I don't remember 100%, but it was something along those lines. And I don't know, whenever it comes to something like pollution and stuff like that, I always just feel like, and I feel like meh, because I feel like us in the first world countries don't want to give up our luxuries. So it's like, oh yeah, this is a problem, but we're not going to give it up. It's just like when people protest and talk about like all this climate change and stuff. Like I heard of people, I don't know what the major is, but like I heard people go into the major for like changing the world, I guess, and then they literally switch to, like, there are a lot of people that go in and they switch to something else because when they learn about all of the stuff that's happening and what it's going to eventually lead to, it's basically just like, it's too far gone, there's nothing we can do, type of thing. So I just kind of think about that, like, yeah, it's doing all this stuff, but I feel like in the end, like, yeah, it's going to be shit and like shit's going to happen, but I just feel like that's just what's going to be, if that makes any sense. I don't know. I'm just kind of ranting. um I thought the how to use the internet was interesting. The one from like, I think, what, 91 or something? I don't know if it was 91. Like from the early 90s, how to use the internet. It was funny because when I was younger, I was like, did they have internet in the 90s? And people just look at me like, yes. And I'll be like, well, I mean, I didn't think so. And then when I asked Google that, that's what I found. So it was interesting watching that. It's like, oh, they did, but it looked like completely different. Okay. So yeah, it was interesting. What else? I also thought the projects that were done with the phone in the case was interesting. At first I was like meh, but when he explained it, like how the phone was creating the heat and the condensation, that's when it, because I thought at first I thought it was just like the design of the case and the phone was just there, and I was like, yeah. But the fact that the phone itself was creating that heat, I thought was interesting. And I also thought those two projects, shoot, I don't remember them anymore. They were interesting though. It was one of them that related to the heat, I guess. No, okay, I remember now. It was when the computer was giving itself a virus constantly. I thought that was interesting. And then like unvirusing itself, I thought was interesting too. Trying to think of what else. And then also this, the was it e pollution or e recycle or something like that, with all the computers, TVs, and stuff like that, and how China's kind of like, nah, not anymore. I thought it was interesting just seeing like these large landfills of just electronics, and that really makes you think about consumerism and where does all this stuff go? What do we do with it? And it's kind of one of those things. I feel like, I mean, I guess I'm kind of negative because I just feel like in the end, everything's just going to be fucked. Like, I feel like everything's too far gone and mass produced. And things like that. I feel like it's going to be hard to stop it. And by that time, it's just going to be too late. And, oh, look, the world turned into WALL-E. I don't know. Well, at least the robots stay abstract, right? Because in WALL-E, they don't look like us. We just got, round. But, yeah, so that's my response of what we did this week. And, yeah, I thought everything was interesting. So it was cool.